All right. Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off by saying, which way is, oh, damn, it's behind me. I'd like to start off by saying, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Kol Haloim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Ruach Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Aquat that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazalo, willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shuab Amwan back at you with another lesson. And going into the title, it might just be Zombieland out here. All right. It might just be Zombieland out here. And I'm gonna play two videos, all right, excuse me, based on zombie talk. All right, which I did a video, I believe it was about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, based on zombies, right? And in these last days, man, as the scriptures say, it's going to be a time that we have never seen before, right? As a matter of fact, let's open up with that real quick. This is Matthew 24 and 21, and it says, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. All right, so we're gonna see times, all right, times that we ain't never seen before. Okay, and you're gonna see a lot of zombie-like behavior out here. All right, one, people gonna be resorting to cannibalism, so that's gonna look like some zombie-like behavior right there. All right. Not only that, scriptures talk about, right, Wisdom of Solomon, the 13th chapter, how there's going to be vivid apparitions in those last days. All right. So you're going to see demons, people going to see ghosts, things that they ain't never seen before, things that you might only just see in a movie, but it's going to become your reality, man. And because people going to have so many demons on them, you might just be able to see fucking demons right through somebody, in those last days, because remember, it's going to be a time that we have never seen in our lives ever. Okay. So, that's going to be another form of zombie-like behavior. Okay. Not only that, when the time comes that they turn up the 6G, going into 7G, all right, you don't know how people going to react, how people going to be, behaving like in those times, because a lot of these people done took the yo jabba jabba, and those things have been alternating their DNA. So you don't know if they end up having a zombie-like behavior where they're not going to have total control of themselves, total control of their spirit, having, all that graphene oxide in them and nanotechnology, man. They might be able just to, control you, without even putting a MOTB, or putting an RFID or a neural link into your body. They might just be able to somehow control you with just sound waves and low pitch frequencies, which they talk about things like that all the time, MK Ultra, shit like that, and as a matter of fact, I believe, I don't know if I spoke about it the last time, but I remember years back, I did a video, and I had found some information on how Hitler was able to drop a certain chemical warfare bomb, all right, in a small town, and basically had them acting in zombie-like behavior. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can find that real quick. Right, Hitler drops chemical warfare in small town and makes them act like zombies. I just want to see if it comes up because I remember I found that shit through the spirit, man. It might not even come up anymore because remember Esau always taking some bullshit, right? Uh, let me see here. Says the premises of Adolf Hitler or Nazi scientists using chemical or biological weapons to create zombie-like behavior is a popular trope in speculative fiction, alternative history, and video games. It says historically, while the Nazi regime developed and stockpiled advanced chemical weapons like sarum and tabun, they never deployed them on the battlefield or used them to induce zombie-like symptoms. Here's a breakdown of how this concept exists in media, historical reality, and science, right? So it says the specific scenario appears frequently across various entertainment mediums. Overlord 2018 film. All right. Well, there's a film in 2018 called Overlord. I didn't even know that. I got to find that. All right. But it says American paratroopers discover a secret Nazi lab using a mysterious tar-like substance to turn villagers and soldiers into mutated super strong zombies. All right. And even though that's a film, we know that they have what? They have what do you call it? Predictive programming. All right. So what you see in these videos and you see in these movies is pretty much something in that type of form that will come to reality later. You know, everything that we've seen in these movies has pretty much become our reality. All right. So what makes you think they won't be able to do that with this zombie-like behavior? You see? Hey, Shalom, sister. Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shah, Barakatah, love. All right. So going into it says Call of Duty Zombies. That's actually a game I played, and I remember they did have a whole bunch of Nazi zombies in there and shit. All right, but that's a video game, right? And then you got a Zombie Army series, which is also a video game franchise where a defeated Hitler uses occult rituals and chemical gas to unleash a zombie apocalypse. And see, that's what I remember it being about. Can't remember what town it was. It was like an experiment that he did with a chemical gas, and he basically dropped it on the village. And you see, and I'm not saying this because of a video game. I literally did a listen. They terminated that channel. Let me put it to you like that. But it was somehow I ran into it, like I said, through the spirit, and I was digging deep in the web, and it came up somehow, and that's what it was basically saying, that they used the chemical gas to be able to drop it on the people, and people just started acting wild. It was on. Let me put it to you like this: it's possible. Why? Because the gas that they were dropping was a hallucinogen drug, basically, in the gas. So when it landed on the people started hallucinating and started wilding out because they had no control of themselves. Just like when you see people on drugs on the street and shit like that, you know, they start acting real crazy, start acting like zombie-like behavior, man. Start eating on somebody or eating on themselves, or you might catch them on the side eating some roadkill or some shit like that. So it's not far-fetched, man. It's not something that can't happen. These devils have all types of chemicals that they've tried on people, tried on animals, all of that, just to see how things, you know, react to it. All right. So best believe they do have it out there, man. All right. So it says Blood Creek 2009 film features a SS occultist experiment, all right, on a farm to town to achieve immortality and reanimate tissue. All right, let me get these screenshots because these two movies I want to check out. Overlord 2018, and then you got Blood Creek 2009 film, right? It says historical reality versus fiction. Chemical stockpiles. Germany invented nerve agents. All right, let's see what this word is. Sarin. All right, sarin and tabun. Right, sarin is also known by its military designation. GB is a synthetic and extremely toxic nerve agent Classified as a weapon of mass destruction, it is a clear, colorless, and largely odorless liquid that attacks the human nervous system and can cause death within minutes of exposure. All right. Let's see what it says. It says blocks the enzyme. This is a crazy ass word. Acetylcholine esterase, some shit like that. That just looks crazy. Which it says, which normally breaks down the neurotransmitter. All right. It says causes a massive buildup in synaptic clefts. All right. It leads to continuous overstimulation of glands, organs, and voluntary and involuntary muscles. All right. Let me see. What is the point of it? Mild to moderate exposure. Symptoms of the exposure pretty much gives you runny nose, excessive drooling, sweating, chest tightness, coughing, wheezing, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach cramps, severe exposure, loss of consciousness. You see, convulsions, seizures, paralysis. All right, paralysis. Yeah. It says respiratory failure leading to suffocation and cardiac arrest. All right. Severe exposure could cause a loss of consciousness, man. Yeah, to lose consciousness, you have no clue what the hell you're doing. You know, you're just pretty much running around blindly. Okay. Convulsions, seizures. Isn't that how they show you the zombies when they're running around, drooling, fucking blood running out of their mouths and shit like that, right? Just want to keep seeing what it says of the sarin. All right, it says to the military is a human-made chemical warfare nerve agent. So it's basically a nerve agent, right? Let's see what else they have. The bun was the other one. The bun. Let me see what the bun means. All right, it says most commonly refers to private limited and Indian renewable energy or manufacturing company. Hold on. It's not giving me what I want. Let me see. Daban versus sarin. Let's see what that does. Taban. Oh, that's what it was. Salakia. Taban. So that's what I need. Taban. All right. Taban goes into, also known by its military designation, GA, is an extremely toxic synthetic nerve agent. Oh, it's the same thing, basically. So they both go hand in hand. They're the same shit. Right? It's a toxic nerve agent. Okay. It says a chemical warfare nerve agent, colorless to brown liquid with a faint, fruity odor, extremely poisonous, keep away from sparks, flames, and eyes. I'm just trying to see what it says about it. Review of acute human toxicity. So basically nerve gases. All right. So let's go back, right, to what I had brought out. All right. Going into the real history, right? One second, hold on. It says it says the zombie connection. It says while nerve gases do not create zombies, the World War I attack of the dead men at Asowek Fortress in 1915 is a famous real-life incident where Russian soldiers horribly blistered and coughing up blood from German chlorine gas attack shockingly charged back at German lines looking like the living dead. You see this shit? So this is an actual story. This is a real-life incident that went down. All right. Basically, Russian soldiers were hit by German attack that had everybody looking like the living dead. All right. So this is what I mean. Like, they have chemical warfare out there to be able to drop on people. And this is back in 19, what did it say? 1915. We in fucking 2026. All right, 2026. If you think that from that time to this time frame we're in now, they haven't come up with a fucking way to basically have people having a Resident Evil T virus on them, man, you bugged out. You see, because Esau, that's what Esau's known for. Esau likes this gene splice shit. He likes to make chemicals. He likes to try shit on people to see what he can make, what he can create. You see how he can poison someone. All right, and basically what they could do today into today's society is they could just drop some type of poison on us that has everybody just bug out completely, you know, and go into a zombie-like behavior. All right, and the reason I'm making this video, right, is because the videos I'm about to show you, the two videos, right. One video is, let me show you the videos, and then I go back into what I was going to go into. All right, one video is showing you a gate. All right, that's why I have that gate in the background right there. If you look at this, as you can see in the background, right, you have this, I got this thumbnail in the background, right? Let me just move my picture, all right? All you see is a bunch of zombies, all right? See zombies trying to go in through a gate. And this is what I'm about to show you in the video. It looks exactly like that gate, all right? This was, I think they were saying, in, was it Missouri they were saying? All right, but let me show you real quick. Let me put that back. All right, there you go. So this is what they were showing, and let me open this up a little bit better for you. All right, a sister, the one sister sent that to me, and this shit is real, man. It's no coincidence they have a fucking gate like this, man. All right, look at this.
One of the craziest things, you know, you come down here. This is one of the craziest things, you know, you come down here to Louisiana, you get to see the zombie gates, as I like to call them. That's right. They're the zombie apocalypse. You want them on one side, and these gates closed, and you on the other. Look at that wall. How cool is that? Apocalyptic zombie gates. That's right.
And it will make perfect sense, right? And as a matter of fact, this is all part of the video right now. What you're about to see right now is you're about to see chemtrails being shot up in the air, and that's a perfect way to basically drop chemical warfare on a complete city, village, you know, state, whatever you want. You know, if you wanted to try to release some type of poison that will have people bugged out. You know, like I said, I'm 100% confident that you can drop some type of chemical warfare on somebody and make them just trip out, like if they were taking acid or they were taking some shrooms, just, you know, just by them smelling it or inhaling that shit, you see, and then just have them completely bug out. Okay, and as a matter of fact, they have what you call the Marburg, because it says here's what you need to know for Marburg, right? Which that's a, I believe that's a disease that they've been speaking about. Marburg, let me see, virus. Most commonly refers to either the rare, severe viral hemorrhage. How you say this word? Let me grab it real quick. Hemorrhagic. All right. It says, oh shit. Damn. Marburg virus, right? So it says hemorrhagic fever caused by the Marburg virus, part of the same family as Ebola. Okay. And I'm pretty sure that after a while, it has people just, let's see, human to human transmission and reservoirs. It says a natural host is Egyptian russet, I believe that's how you say that, fruit bats. Okay. So that's how you're getting it, carrying the virus. Then it says spreads to humans caused by prolonged exposures to mines or caves inhabited by bat colonies, right? Then it says human to human spreads via direct contact through broken skin or mucous membranes, right? With blood, secretions, organs, or blood or bodily fluids of infected people, as well as contaminated surfaces and materials. Yeah, so when you look at these movies like Resident Evil and they show you how these people caught the T virus and shit like that, basically it will be from what? From an actual bite, from a scratch. So from human contact, it will be through breaking through the skin. All right, broken skin, mucous membranes, right? Blood, secretions, right? People bleeding on you. All right, so imagine in these last days, right? People walking around because there's no way to cure viruses because hospitals are going to be down, right? Uh, they're going to be down from the cyber attacks, from the EMPs, right? So people going to walk around with viruses that if you even touch them, right? You even touch them or they spit on you, whatever. They next thing you know, you're contracting this shit. And now you all sick and you acting all bugged out. So you got to use a little reality to it, you know. It doesn't necessarily have to be niggas looking like the Walking Dead out here, you know. And if you really want to get spiritual with it, you know, pretty much all these people are zombies anyway, because the scriptures say, "He that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead." So you walking around like a dead soul anyway, you know. And like I said, people gonna be demoned out in these last days, you know, vivid apparitions. You're gonna be able to see demons on people because it's gonna be a crazy time that we have never seen before. You see? So as a matter of fact, the scriptures say in Revelations, what's that? Revelations 11 and 8, and their dead bodies, right? And their dead bodies shall be in the street. Let me grab that real quick. Revelations 11 and 8, and it reads, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom in Egypt, and where also our Lord Yahushua was crucified, meaning the ways of righteousness was X'd out, right? So they're considered as dead bodies. Is that not what zombies are considered as, dead bodies? You see? So again, most of these people are zombied out anyway. People are zombied out just looking into their phones all fucking day, you know? They're just programmed to do the same shit over and over and over again, like a zombie would. Have no brain, basically, you know, no brain to be able to think further than what they just do now. You know, they're trapped in a little bubble, you know. So let's go back, right, to that Marburg, right? It says symptoms and progression, incubation period, typically 2 to 21 days, early manifestation, suddenly onset of high fever, severe headache, chills, and muscle aches. All right. Gastrointestinal phase, severe watery diarrhea, abdominal pain, cramping, right? Nausea and vomiting, starting around day 3. Okay. These are all like zombie-like behaviors, man. Because that's how they show you in the movies. Before someone contracts and turns completely into a zombie, they go through these. They start with a fever. They start looking pale. Then they start throwing up. Now they start to bleed, this and that, right? Until they pretty much have contracted the whole entire virus, and there's nothing that's stopping them, you know? And remember, when we know through the spirit that when people get sick, it's pretty much what? It's pretty much demons on them, you see? So it makes perfect sense that once these people completely get sick and there's no cure for them, right, that they're just going to pretty much have a legion of demons on them. You see how these people act when they got to get exorcisms and shit done to them, you know? People can't control themselves. You ever see the movie The Exorcist? That shit is real. Shit like that is real. People will contract demons like that. And then they have no control of themselves, man. They pretty much have plagued their mind. And then they be talking weird, talking in tongues, talking with deep demonic voices and shit like that. I remember when I first came into the truth, I seen a crazy ass video where they had somebody in a cycle ward and he caught mad demons on him. And he came out of there, out of the room, like tiptoeing on his heels. He had mad blood all over his fucking mouth and everything. This was way back, probably like 6 years ago. You know, they didn't have the AI and none of that shit yet. You know what I'm saying? So it was a legit video. It was in a cycle ward. And basically the guy was talking very demonic and was talking in another language and everything. And you could tell he had a legion of demons on him, you know? and he was just he kept saying something in the crazy. It sounded like he was saying it on some Latin shit, you know. And that's usually how they be talking. Them demonic ass spirits be coming in some Latin ass talk, you know. So again, it's very possible. All right. Let me grab the finish seeing what it has here. Diagnosis and treatment, blah blah blah. I was just looking at this Marburg disease and basically what it is. All right. So now let's go back. All right. And one thing I do want to mention that I mentioned in the last time I did a video on zombies, when you go into the word zombie itself, right? Zombie word etymology, right? The word zombie goes into, look at that. It says zombie, right? It says possibly representing two separate words, one related to the dead and the other to the authority figures. But if so historically, these were not kept distinct in English speaking usage. It says the oldest attested sense in English is spirits of dead, wicked men. You see? So these people that are wicked as hell, all right, they have hella spirits of the dead on them, man. It says that torment the living. The sense of reanimated corpse is by 1929 introduced in the work of William Seabrook, who observed the sense as a unique Haitian concept. Yeah, because them Haitians, them Levites, do a whole lot of witchcraft and sorceries out there. And what are they into? They into that cannibalism, right? They into that witchcraft. So combine the two together. All right, you doing witchcraft and sorceries, and then your ass is out there doing some fucking cannibalism at the same time. So people just gonna be acting hella weird just from that alone, right? Then it says the word usually is said to be of the West African origin, which means zombie, which means a fetish. Okay, you see, it's a fetish. So a lot of these people in these last days, right? They have gates like that guy was just driving past, because when the time comes that everything, all hell breaks loose out here, right? People just gonna act crazy trying to get water, trying to get food, you see? So that's gonna put them in a zombie-like behavior. They're gonna want a fetish, the word fetish, right? Let's see, the word definition of fetish. A fetish is not just, it's just not a sexual expression, right? But it's also about, let me see, the word fetish can go into, see, wish it would just give me a Wikipedia. Oh, it says mission of fetish, that's why. Definition of fetish. Definition of fetish, all right, it says is a strong or unusual focus on an object, body part, or idea. See, so it doesn't have to just mean a sexual attraction to something, right? It could just be you having an unusual focus onto an object or an idea. So in those times when they starve you out and you have no food, you have no water, you're going to be focused on the what? The idea of wanting to eat. You're going to want to have something to drink. So if you don't have it, people going to go crazy for it. You see? All hell breaking loose, right? They're going to have to close gates like that and not allow people to cross over to a certain area, all right? Because that's how the elites are going to have it, okay? You don't know what's going to be on that other side that the elites don't want you to have. Or, you know, there might be a certain type of, it might be something that'll be beneficial to us on the one side. Excuse me, on the one side, all right, but they close the gates and won't allow you to be able to reach it, you see? and that puts you into a zombie-like behavior, because basically it's a psychological warfare that they putting upon your mind, man. You know, like it's almost like taunting you. On this side of this fence, there's food and water, but you on the other side of the fence, and you just gonna be sitting there trying to figure out how to get to the other side, and you're going to be in that spirit of, I need it, you see? And I brought out in the last time I did the video on zombies, you seen that in the time of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? When people were trying to uh come after the angels, right? They were trying to sleep with the angels, right? And when you go into that account in the scriptures, you could tell that they were in that fetish situation where they wanted it so bad that they were doing everything in their power to try to get in to Lot's house. You see, surrounding the house. Is that not how zombies are shown in the movies? When you're in a certain house, they're trying to surround the house and get in there and get to you because they want you so bad. Well, that's how they were acting in the time of when the angels were in the house of Lot. Man, they wanted to sleep with the angels, and they were trying to pretty much break down the fucking door. You see, so that's all a zombie-like behavior. Okay, and like I said, I very strongly believe that they're going to use some type of chemical warfare to be able to make people hallucinate, all right, and make them bug out and make them see shit and act very strangely, with their behavior. All right. It says it can mean sexual attraction to non-sexual things and obsession with an everyday item. You see, an obsession with an everyday item. Yeah, your ass needs some food and water. You're gonna be obsessed with trying to get to it, right? Or religious object believed to have magic powers. You see, so it doesn't just have to be completely sexual when we say fetish, man. All right. Yeah, a fetish is an extremely strong devotion to something. You see, you're completely devoted to, getting your hands on it. Right? So now let me grab this other video. All right.
If you're in a
As a matter of fact, let me finish this video. I didn't get to finish it.
you come down here to Louisiana, you get to see the zombie gates, as I like to call them. That's right. During the zombie apocalypse, you want them on one side, and these gates closed, and you on the other. Look at that wall. How cool is that? Apocalyptic.
Then nigga said, how cool is
That's
that?
right.
And this is what they spray. This is what they spray every day in your skies, man. They're spraying all types of poison in your body. You're observing it, absorbing it. So like I said, absorbing it through the sun, through your pores. You're breathing it every single day. Aluminum, barium. There's a whole bunch of different chemicals that are being put into these things. It ain't just aluminum and barium. It's a whole bunch of different types of poisons, man. They could, as much as even putting the same type of shit that there's in vaccines, they could put that shit in the sky and have you breathing that shit in. Graphene oxide, nanotechnology inside, your nose being breathed up, coming down from the clouds. Because what happens is those clouds, right, when you wake up every morning in the crack ass of dawn, it pretty much comes down and settles down to the earth. It don't do it as much as it used to when I was when I was younger. But I remember when I was younger, I would see you wake up early in the morning, it would be just a mist of fog, right at the level of the street, basically. And that's basically all the clouds that were from up there. They will come and settle down at the bottom of where the streets is at. Why? Because it will water. That will be the dew of heaven, basically. It will water the grass. It will water the plants, without you actually watering it, So you don't see that as much anymore because everything is so polluted and poisoned. All right. But now they put all these invisible poisons in the air. So best believe that those invisible chemtrails, right, come down to ground level. And when you wake up in the morning, you walk out your house, you're breathing that shit, man. Taking your kids to the bus, you don't know what was in your system, all right, because you can't see it. So they've been doing that with chemtrails for the longest, man, and that's a form of chemical warfare. You see, Let me see what else was in there. I think the rest was basically chemtrails. Yeah. Let me see. Then you have the meat. You have the meat that's being poisoned. You had years ago, you had mad cow disease, and whoever was eating that meat, it had them acting crazy. It had them acting a certain way. That's why they called it mad cow disease. You see, so how do you know that they can't do that with the food and intensify it, where pretty much you're eating certain types of food, and then whatever poisons in it, that it just makes you completely bug out. You see, so there's so many different angles they can hit you with a zombie-like behavior, man. To make you act a goddamn fool out here, right? But that's pretty much the rest of the video. It's just a bunch of different, based on chemtrails and putting poison in foods. Now let me grab this last one. All right, she's saying some crazy shit about it too. Here we go. So basically what it said there, it said, did the military just admit zombies are real? And then the guy's about to talk. It says, and how long can they contain them is the real question. Nothing surprises me anymore, and I don't doubt anything for a second. This is all in the caption that I'm reading. It says, what they have hidden from us is far bigger than what they've ever admitted to. A zombie apocalypse is becoming more possible as the months get closer to 2030. Doesn't necessarily have to be dead people walking around like we see in the film, but even crazy, angry people who can't control themselves. Yeah, see, that's spirit right there, because I didn't even know it was saying that. But that's what I was basically trying to say, man. They could do all types of crazy shit to us, right? That'll make us not have control of our spirits, man. And as the scriptures say, he that have no spirit, rule of his spirit is like a city with broken down walls, man. You have no control of your spirit, so you completely just act crazy as hell, because iniquity is what does the scripture say? The love of many shall wax cold. Right? Let me grab that real quick. Because iniquity abound, I believe that's how it says. Actually, let me just go to it. This is Matthew 24, and I think it's the 12th verse. Yeah, because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Yeah. So because there's so much sin happening rampantly, right? That right there puts demons on people, man. And because there's so much sin, all right, people, gonna wax worse and worse. The love of people gonna wax cold, So you see people out here in an angry spirit, people in that spirit of wanting to hurt somebody and murder somebody. They're in desperate times. So desperate times calls for them desperate measures, man. People just gonna be doing shit and acting right on impulse instead of just acting, instead of thinking about what their actions could be. They're not even thinking about it. They're just reacting to it. And that's the worst type of mentality you could have, man, because that's you having no rule of your spirit. You see? So going back to what she was saying, it says doesn't necessarily have to be dead people walking around like we see in films, but even crazy and angry people who can't control themselves, which is ultimately just demons on them anyway, due to something affecting the brain, like a frequency or some type of parasite. Yeah, that's another thing, They say that because parasites are pretty much a form of demons too. So, some of these people have a whole parasitic body, that shit is a flesh-eating, parasite that's just eating into their brain. And, what happens when parts of your brain are getting fucked with and, getting taken away, man, you start to lose your sanity, you see? It says, we all seen the Kingsmen with the chip in their necks. And then when the signal gets turned on, everyone starts killing each other. Yeah. And that's what they're going to do with the MOTB, man. They're going to put it in people's minds, right? Neural links, and they're going to be able to hack into it and make people do whatever they want. Right. It says the type of, says that type of shit. What you think possibility or far-fetched. It says, I think there's many possibilities something could affect us as a whole like this. Yeah, and that's why we need to constantly be prayed up, All right, that Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah keep us from all those things, man. In these last days, the elect gonna see some shit that we ain't never seen before, man. You gonna see what it's like to see people with demons on them on a high level. You know, you gonna see people act, you know, out of this world, man, because Esau done poisoned the shit out of them, or, you know, brainwashed them to the point where he pretty much has them doing whatever he feels like it. You know, that shit is scary as hell, man, when you think about it. Right? So let's see what it says.
Right, this is Specialist Guys. We're here with Specialist Leslie, and we're about to take off after completing our mission out here. What did you think of the operations?
The same as always. I mean, all that wire. It's strange because at first when we started encountering all of them, you started thinking, oh, this can't be real. It's got to be fake. This is something out of freaking movies. But once we started getting into it, we realized it wasn't fake. All these people were really messed up. Something straight out of movies, but at the same time, in reality, hit us hard like it's on risk. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little traumatizing. I mean, the fact that I didn't like to use the word zombies. I like to use the word living impaired, affected individuals, affected situations.
Yeah, and that's a perfect way to put it. People living impaired, you know, people living infected, you see. So these people are sick, you know, and the scriptures talk about that, how the whole head is sick, right, for our people, right? As a matter of fact, let me grab that real quick. This is Isaiah, all right, Isaiah 1 and let's take it from 4. It says, a sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters, they have forsaken the Lord Yahweh. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone backward, away backward. Why should you be stricken anymore? You will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick and the whole heart faint. Yeah, so our people are sick in the head, man. You know, and because they don't have the knowledge of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, they haven't been fully cleansed. You know, they haven't been, basically, like when we came into this truth, we were going through an exorcism where the Lord was cleansing them demons off of us, cleansing us from the sickness that we were in, you see. And these people haven't been cleansed. These people haven't been hit with the exorcism. So they still running around with, again, legions and legions of demons, man. They ain't just legion means 1,000, man. These people don't have just 1,000 demons. These people got thousands of demons on them, man. And the Lord has the power to just activate them all if he wants. Look at the one account with the guy that was cutting himself when Yahweh Shah had made the legion of demons come out of him. And he basically he put him on the swine, and then the swine ended up jumping off the hill, right? But when you see that account, you see how there was a legion of demons on the guy. He was cutting himself in the nighttime, cutting himself on his body, slicing himself, and it wasn't affecting him. That's zombie-like behavior right there. You see? He was basically what was he doing? He was cutting himself. Oh, and then they would try to put bands on him, and the bands weren't even able to tie him down. What kind of behavior do you call that? That's zombie-like behavior to me. You see? And that's all because he had what? A legion of demons. So these people will have legions upon legions, all right? And they're not going to be able to control themselves. You're not going to be able to control them. You see? That's why the government got the weapons that they got, all of that, man. Because they're going to need to, man, when the time comes. Because the Lord going to deal with our people first, man. So our people just going to be all fucked up, you know? So, hey, man, our people's head is sick already. It says, from the sole of the foot even to the head, there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. Yeah. And when you look at that spiritually, man, that's what a zombie will look like. Nigga got hella wounds and bruises, putrefying sores coming out of his body, right? It says they have not been closed up, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment. Yeah, because this truth is the ointment. That's the only way you can be cured, right? And you can truly be cleansed, and those demons can be lifted up off of you, man. You see? So they haven't been cleansed. They haven't been mollified with this word. You know, so they're going to remain in the congregation of the dead, as the scriptures say, right? So let's go back to what he was saying.
All right, this is Specialist Guy.
Come on.
All right, this is Specialist Guy. We're here with Specialist Leslie, and we're about to take off after completing our mission out here. What did you think of the operations?
Same as always. I mean, it's strange because at first when we started encountering all of them, you started thinking, this can't be real, it's got to be fake. This is something out of freaking movies. But, once we started getting into it, we realized it wasn't fake. They were really messed up. It's something straight out of movies, but at the same time, in reality, it is hard like a ton of bricks. Yeah, I'm not going to lie, it's traumatizing. I mean, the fact that we don't like to use the word zombies. We like to use the word living impaired, infected individuals, infected citizens, however you want to put it. But they're zombies. I mean, the first time you see them, you get a little taken back because you don't really know how to deal with it. Some of them come in every single limb, some of them are intended to shoot people alive, which we are. And all we really do is quarantine them, put them in an area where we can keep them isolated, keep an eye on them.
See, and the Lord has the power to take something dead and raise it up. And do so. The Lord has the power to do that. If the Lord want to scare your ass and put complete fear in you, the Lord could take something that's dead and raise it up and make it come after you if he wants. Don't ever think that he can't do that, man. The Lord was raising people from the dead, is very possible, you see. So you're going to see shit like that in these last days. Absolutely. All right. Again, it's a time that we have never seen before, man. It's the time of the end, you see. So the Lord's going to put a lot of fear in people's hearts and people's mind. Things that people fear the most, that's what people going to see. Things that they thought can never happen and they fear it, the Lord going to make it come to life, man. That's why you got to fear the Heavenly Father, man, because the Lord could do, man, anything, and make you have 1,000 heart attacks at one fucking shot.
I mean, our suits protect us from the contaminant that's in the air, but other than that...
You see what he said? He said a contaminant in the air, see? So all it takes is some type of contaminant, poison, gas, drug to be thrown up in the air, all right? And they could pretty much just make people bug the fuck out. All right. And that right there, what he just said, that proves my point of what I was saying when I did a video years back on Hitler taking because how else were they going to do these things? They had to do experiments on certain things to see if it would actually work. So that was basically what I had ran into. It was just a crazy ass article, and it was a mini movie, not a mini movie, but a mini video of them basically contaminating the air, and people started bugging the fuck out and started acting like crazy as hell, started acting like zombies, had no control of their spirit, and they were basically hallucinating in that village. And when this is done, I'm gonna try to see if I can find it again. If not, I'll just close it out anyway, because y'all get the point.
Never that big of a deal,
No, it's a common occurrence. We have training for this kind of thing. The Army has a special military occupational specialty. The Seaburn School is what we go to learn how to deal with this stuff. So it's a common everyday occurrence. It's something we deal with all the time. It's about once every 3 months, I believe. It's in common rotation
in the U.S.
Right. Yeah. I know in other countries they'll send their military units over here to kind of gain experience and learn how we do it. We train Puerto Rico. We've trained Bangladesh. We train England. They all come over here. As far as I understand, this whole process, the whole infection thing originated from the first place anyway. But that's pretty much well under control. There's one thing Hollywood didn't get right. It's that we would fall first. No, that's not the way it is. We're the ones that prevail because right now this whole situation is under control.
Exactly.
So, the public, it's strange because in the movies people panic, just pandemonium on the streets. People are running in fear and they're freaking out everywhere. But no, it's exactly the opposite of that. Exactly opposite. People walk around every day knowing the signs, knowing the symptoms, and they see it. They call us. We come in and take care of it.
Well, thank you for your time.
Yo, that shit crazy as hell. What this nigga talking about, bro? You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. And when you see that happen, just know that it was your government that did that shit, doing experiments on people and shit like that. You know. Let me see real quick, one more try to see if I can run into something like that. Uh, the Nazi origins of deadly nerve gases. It says third rich chemists invented the devastating chemical weapons. You see, they were making chemical weapons back in the time of Hitler, man, already doing some crazy ass shit. And there's no coincidence, like we just read earlier. They had movies on it. They had video games on it. Why are they showing you that in the video games? Because let me put it to you like this: you weren't in the midst of fucking World War II, so you really don't know what was out there, what was really happening. You know, are there survivors from places like that from those times? Possibly, you know. But most of the type of people, you know, that shit was Germany. You know, we ain't got too many fucking Nazi Germans out here that's gonna tell you a damn story about what was happening in those times. You want to find out, you're gonna have to go on the other side of the world for that. You see? But like I said, they were definitely already using chemical warfare in those times, man. All right. What was the deadliest chemical warfare in history? It says the deadliest use of poison gas in history was the mass extermination of over 1 million people, with total estimates up to 3 million victims, using Zyklon B, hydrogen cyanide, and carbon monoxide in Nazi gas chambers, right? That was for the Holocaust, supposedly, they would say. Let's see. What else? Why are chemical weapons not used? Blah, blah, blah. History of chemical warfare. Let me look one more spot. Yeah, see, look, this will make perfect sense. How Germany's Blitzkrieg was fueled by crystal meth. See, and I promise you, see that was something I was gonna mention before. Crystal meth, when you use crystal meth, all right, I've been around people that use that shit. All right. I'm not even, man, I ain't even gonna bring nothing up, but I've been around that shit. Let me put it to you like that. When I tell you people act like fucking zombies on that shit, you're up for like 3, 4, 5 days, no sleep. You're so energetic. You're very hostile on that shit. Okay. If you're like fighting, you cannot beat a person on crystal meth. That nigga's just like untouchable, unbeatable. Nothing can hurt him. You can shoot a person on crystal meth 5 times and that nigga's still gonna come after your ass. I'm gonna put it to you like that. That's how crazy that drug is. And that's a man-made drug. So going back to what I was saying, they were probably doing that when the time of Hitler was alive and he was doing these chemical warfares on certain places, certain things, you know, putting certain type of drugs in there like crystal meth. That shit's been around for years. Don't just think that shit just appeared out of nowhere. No, that shit been around, you see? So imagine a chemical warfare where they're able to drop a gas of crystal meth on people. People inhale it. People start tripping. Next thing you know, they're acting like zombies. You know, you can't beat this person. You can't shoot this nigga. He is going crazy. All right. Those people, when I've seen people on crystal meth, they'll pick scabs or cut themselves, and they be normal, just straight normal, walking around like nothing, bleeding and everything. And they're acting like if they ain't never fucking like they ain't just pick the scab of their lifetime that was bleeding out. You know what I'm saying? Or they ain't just cut their wrist 1,000 times and they fucking bleeding out and they're just walking around normal, man. You see, there are some very high potent ass drugs like that people use, man. You see, and that will be the perfect way to create a chemical for warfare to drop on a bunch of people and make them act like zombies. It will be a use of some type of drug like that. So that's the spirit right there. How Germany's Blitzkrieg was fueled by crystal meth. I'm not even gonna go into it because it's probably gonna take forever. but it's on YouTube, it says. So if anybody wants to watch it, which I'll probably watch it right after this, you know, it says how Germany's, I'll put it right here for y'all to see it, right there, screenshot it, you know, it's on YouTube. All right. So that pretty much makes my my point. Complete list of zombie movies, blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't gotta go no more into it. I did see one thing I did want to history of chemical warfare, real quick. Wikipedia says the history of chemical warfare dates from antiquity. It says chemical weapons have been a part of warfare in most societies for centuries. You see, I just said that shit. However, their usage has been extremely controversial since the 20th century. Chemical warfare is created in the ancient periods of Greece, Rome, India, China, South Africa. Soldiers poisoned arrows, water supplies, dispersed toxic smokes. All right, chemical weapons were first used on a large scale by most major powers in World War I. Look, going all the way back to World War I, employing the gases mustard, phosgene, all right, chlorine, lung scarring, blindness. Okay, World War II, Nazi Germany used commercial hydrogen, cyanide, blood agents. All right, the Empire of Japan used chemical warfare. Okay, mustard gas and lewisite. Yeah, they got a whole bunch of different shit in here. But you get the point. All right, so I'm gonna say it like this. I'm gonna end it like that. It's very possible, all right, to have people on zombie-like behavior, and you will see people in zombie-like behavior in these last days. All right, don't ever put that past your mind. All right, and there's no coincidence that they're speaking about these things. Okay, it's for a reason, because they know what they're about to see in the coming months. All right, when this new world order drops, man, there's gonna be a lot of crazy ass shit happening. All right, when all hell breaks loose, all right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, all right, demons is legions and legions upon legions of demons is going to be upon these people, man. All right, and this is why we're going to need to stay prayed up. All right, so we don't get, you know, harmed by any of these things, which we're going to definitely be protected. All right, but we're definitely going to see it, and you know, so none of these things, you know, none of these demons jump on us. All right, we got to stay, you know, protected with the whole armor of truth, as the scriptures say, man. Okay, remember, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high places, man. You see, against principalities. You see, so before it becomes a physical thing, man, you got to remember it happens spiritual first. You know, principalities, which is straight demons, are constantly around us, right? There's high level witchcraft and sorcery is being done, you know. So most of these people need a fucking exorcism anyway, right? And you know, as it says, man, spiritual wickedness in high places, man. So what you think CERN is about? CERN ain't about just breaking up protons and neutrons and putting them together, man, and making them collide, man. Them niggas is trying to conjure up black what do they call them? I think they were calling them what was it? Dark matter. You know, they're out there trying to conjure up dark matter, and when you go into dark matter, which I did a video on that probably like 2 years back, going into CERN, you know, dark matter goes into them trying to, it goes into them trying to conjure up witchcraft, man. You know, just look at the name, dark matter, you see? So that's really what they be doing with CERN. They out there trying to open up dark portals, demon portals, you know, to be able to do some weirdo shit, man. Let me see what the brothers put up in here. Salaki, I didn't even realize y'all was going in over here. This is hey, Shalom, brother Yahweh Shemel Shabrakatah. All right. It says Marburg virus is the cousin virus to Ebola. Yeah. The gate was shown on TikTok somewhere saying it was for a floodgate. Something big is definitely coming. Yeah, absolutely. Ain't no damn floodgate. If a flood come, ain't no gates holding down a flood. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Ain't nothing strong enough to hold the floods of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man. When the Lord gonna bring a flood, he gonna bring a I mean, he gonna bring a flood. But see, the flood that is gonna happen is gonna be the flood of these people. You know, when these people start acting wild, when these people are hangry as shit, you know, they ain't eating and drinking in a couple days, man. These people gonna act retarded, man. They're gonna have to have gates to close shit down because they're gonna be all over the place looking for people, man. It says there was a video of a umbrella corporation. Issachar brother was saying they are in Texas playing with bio weapons on these Texas highways. So shit possibly getting real. Yeah, absolutely. See, they out there. Esau love playing with chemicals, man, and he love using animals first to see what it does to the animals. That's why there's gonna be newly created creatures. That's why you're gonna have a lot of animals out here you ain't never seen. Rabid fucking animals running around drooling and shit. You gonna have dogs looking like the ones from what's that movie with what's his name with Will Smith, damn, what's the name of it, I Am Legend. You had them dogs when the sunlight was coming out, they were like zombie dogs and shit. Yeah, you gonna see shit like that these last days, man. You know, because Esau got a whole bunch of shit he been just playing with, splicing genes and doing all types of weirdo shit. You see? So they're going to have walls like that to hold things back, man. Says the Edomite scientist in Residence Evil Raccoon City at the end of the movie. His wife asked him, "What are you doing down here?" He was doing experiments on the dead. Yeah, exactly, man. And that's real shit. That Shalom, beloved. Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatah. Yeah, that's how Esau is, man. Esau's fascinated with the dead. Remember, he's trying to be in that God complex. So he wants to have the power to even rise up the dead if he can do that. And he'll do that through witchcraft, you know, through summoning demons like in the ancient world, like the Egyptians used to do. Them niggas used to believe that they could take a mummy and bring them back to life through a fucking oracle, man. That shit's real. You know, they coming out the book of the dead, reading all types of bugged out, you know, scriptures and shit from there, you know. It says he answered his wife and said, "I am doing God's work." Look at that. See? All spiritual. He was on point. He was doing the work of the Lord on the left-hand side. Yeah, see? See? And it's all spiritual, bro, with the movies, man. The elders always said, man, that everything that you see in movies, even though it's a movie, it has a meaning to it. Even the most wackest movie will have a certain meaning to it. All right. And it'll be spiritual for the elect. Forget everybody else. It's for the elect to take it in and look at it in a spiritual sense and be like, yeah, that shit can happen. Yeah, they doing that for sure. That's why we're not going to be caught by surprise. The rest of the world's going to be like, what the fuck is going on? But us, we're going to be like, bro, that's the Lord. The Lord put, like the brother put, the Lord put the spirit on him to do that for the left-hand side, you know, the wicked side, you know. This is Luke 21:26. It says, men's hearts fell in them for fear, for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. Yeah. And it ain't just about the missiles, man. Men's hearts are gonna fail from fear when they see half of the shit that's being done here in Babylon the Great, when they start seeing vivid apparitions, when they start seeing real demons in their face, you know, when they start seeing shit like this, people acting like damn zombies out here, man. You know, you might see a matter of fact, one of the scriptures when it talks about that a man shall eat on the left hand and not be satisfied and then start to snatch on the right hand. That's zombie shit right there, man. People gonna be eating themselves when they ain't got no food, man, let alone trying to eat each other. But once they don't find nobody else to eat, that's what they're gonna pretty much do. They're gonna eat themselves. Is that not what they show you in zombie movies? You see? They dropped a bomb on a town of gooks and they all looked deformed from radiation back in the 40s. Yeah, yeah. And that right there will make people look weird as hell. Walking around half dead, half a brain and shit. You know? One eye and one part of his head is big as hell. The other part is small as hell, looking all deformed. Yeah, man. Shit turns you into demonic. Yeah. Flocka mixed with ice. He said flocka mixed with ice. Yeah, that's what they call that shit. Flocka mixed with ice. Yeah, man. There's all types of drugs out there that can make you be on another level, man. And I've been around that shit, so I know I can attest to. I'm like, yeah, that shit is just not no shit you see in the movies or some shit you hear in the news or on TikTok. No, I've been around people that do drugs, man, that do some heavy, hardcore drugs, man, and I've seen how people act, and you just looking at them like, what the fuck? I don't see niggas on drugs and police come and then beat up all the police officers. Let me put it to you like that. And you would think this nigga has superpowers. It's just like straight up, yo. That shit is wild. All right. But hey, man, that's the times that we're in. We're in very strange times, very dangerous times. All right. We know that something big is about to happen. These people have prepared for things like this. This is why they have big walls like that, ready to close doors on people, be able to, not able to come in from one state to another. I'm pretty sure there's so many different gates like that around the world that we don't even know about yet, but they're in the process of making them, you see? So, buckle up your seatbelt and just watch, all right, how things are going to continue to spiral out of control, and hey, just let the Lord do what he do best. Let the Lord bring out the left-hand side for the wicked, all right, and let the Lord continue to, apprehend us with the right hand, and continue to protect us and bring us to salvation on the right hand, man, and Lord willing that we're, kept away from those things as much as possible, because it's definitely something we fear. We fear the Heavenly Father. We know it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. So you don't even want to see that type of side from the Heavenly Father, man, because it just might scare your ass to death, So I'm gonna leave it there through the spirit, Lord willing that y'all will edify. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Haloim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Bachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad. The Hakim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith. And doing as good soldiers of Yahweh Shai, you just continue to learn silence, watching the true men of the Lord. Stay prayed up with the whole armor of truth, from head to toe as always, and continue to pray that this place be destroyed. All right, Abba Ball soon. Shalom, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatah unto you and your households.